Hey everyone, and welcome as we continue our study through the New Testament, looking at the New Testament church, and we're still in Colossians today, looking at Colossians 1:24 through chapters 2 verse 5, and this is looking at Paul's work for the church. He discusses and looks at the work that he has done so far for the church, and kind of lets the church at Colossus know about that. So we'll go through that and then look at some of the notes real quick. He says, "I am glad when I suffer for you in my body, for I am participating in the sufferings of Christ that continue for his body, the church. God has given me the responsibility of serving his church by proclaiming his entire message to you. This message was kept secret for centuries and generations past, but now it has been revealed to God's people. For God wanted them to know that the riches and glories of Christ are for you Gentiles too, and this is the secret: Christ lives in you. This gives you assurance of sharing his glory. So we tell others about Christ, warning everyone and teaching everyone with all the wisdom God has given us. We want to present them to God perfect in the relationship to Christ. That's why I work and struggle so hard, depending on Christ's mighty power that works within me. I want you to know how much I have agonized for you and for the church at Laodicea, and for many other believers who have never met me personally. I want them to be encouraged and knit together by strong ties of love. I want them to have complete confidence that they understand God's mysterious plan, which is Christ Himself. In Him lie hidden all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. I am telling you this so no one will deceive you with well crafted arguments. For though I am far away from you, my heart is with you, and I rejoice that you are living as you should, and that your faith is in Christ is strong. And so Paul, in this little section here is letting them know, right? Right? He says, "I am participating in the sufferings of Christ," and literally, what that means here is it says, "I am filling up what is lacking in the sufferings of Christ." And so, while the redemptive suffering of Christ is unique and completely finished, right? That what Christ went through is finished. Christ still suffers through his people in a world hostile to the message of redemption. And so that's what Paul was referring to there. And so he's saying Christ and his church will continue to suffer um, until God's purpose through the works are complete. And you see this in Mark 13, Romans 8, 1 Thessalonians talks about this. And so, there's going to be suffering for Christians. And because Christians suffer, then Christ suffers as well. And so, he then goes on. So he says, like, we're going to be suffering. I'm suffering for Christ. We're going to be suffering for Christ. That's part of this, how this works out. And then he talks about how, the secret that was revealed, right? And so the concept of a secret hidden at one time and then revealed is based on the Jewish apocalyptic ideas. It's a Jewish idea, and Jewish thinkers conceived of God's entire plan as already existing in heaven, which we know is true. The several writers talk about this. And it was hidden until God should draw back the curtains and reveal it. Well, the good news then is, well, that especially for the Gentiles, that had been kept secret until it was revealed in Christ. So it was revealed through Christ. And the good news for the Gentiles is that this message is for them too, right? It wasn't just for the Jewish people, it's for them as well. And so he introduces his concern for them, right? To strengthen his relationship with the Colossians, who he had not met. He had never met the Colossians. And so he was writing to them, encouraging them, and he wanted to counter, right? He wanted to strengthen the relationship with them, which is a little bit harder, right? I mean, you think about today's day and age, it's hard to have a long distance relationship with someone. Imagine having a long distance relationship with someone you've never met, and you have to do it through a letter. And so Paul, he was wanting to counter these heretical ideas that was threatening the Christian community, the things around, the false teachings around spirituality and stuff like that that he's going to continue to hint at. And so Paul is building here on verses 1 through chapter 1, verses 15 through 20, right? That Christ alone is sufficient for our spiritual understanding. We don't need to dive deeper into the spiritual realm and the spiritual things, or we don't have to worship or go after other spiritual things. Christ alone is enough, and that's who we need to focus on. That's who we need to study, and that's who we need to worship. and we don't have to go after all these other um, spiritual things and so like that. And we have to be careful with this, because sometimes I've seen people in the church, right, where their focus will, they'll want to focus on the spiritual side of things, and I don't think that's bad always, but when it becomes your obsession, or you focus on it more than you do Christ. I know people who like have obsessions with angels and other the other spiritual side, other spiritual things in the world, and they lose their focus on Christ and who we are to be in Christ, and that's when gets dangerous. And I think that's part of the thing that Paul is right about. I don't think it's bad to have an interest in the spiritual world and the spiritual nature of things, and to study that and to look into it. But it's when that becomes your main focus and it takes your focus off Christ and who He is and who we are to be in Christ, then that's when it becomes dangerous and is not worth studying or pursuing. So, as always, I hope that you continue to follow along with us on these. I hope that you're learning from it. Tomorrow, we're going to look at the freedom from the rules and the new life in Christ. This is an important lesson that we can dive into here. It's just, we don't have to, we're not trapped into all these rules now, and we have new freedom and new life in Christ. So we'll look at that tomorrow. As always, I encourage anyone who hasn't subscribed to our channel to go ahead and do so. And just so you can continue to study along us. We're getting closer and closer to the end of this, but would love to have you join us, even though we are getting that close. It's hopefully a good study for everyone, and you learn from it. And so, as always, more than anything, appreciate everyone who takes time to watch, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day.